Hello and a very warm welcome to all of you on Game On. I'm Meha Bhardwaj Alter, and today I have with me Abhishek Kumar to talk about the Boxing Day test between India and South Africa, day 2 of that test match that's going on in Centurion, and India are facing an uphill battle at Centurion to stay in the first test of the series, having been bowled out for 245 in their first innings and then allowing host South Africa to eat away at the deficit, with former skipper Dean Elgar leading the reply with a terrific half-century. From an overnight score of 208 for the loss of 8 wickets, India added 47 to their total to be bowled out for 245, out of which 101 came off the bat of KL Rahul in what might end up as his best overseas innings. Rahul went from an overnight 70 to 101, hitting his way to a fine 100 in the company of India's tail enders. And when Mohammad Siraj nipped out Aiden Markram early in South Africa's reply, it looked like the visitors were on top. But some wavered lines and a typical stubborn innings from Elgar saw South Africa take the fight back to Team India. Elgar, who will retire after this series, raised his 50 in the presence of Tony DeZorzi, who shunned his natural attacking ways as witnessed during the ODI series before this, as South Africa chipped away at the total. But the good thing is that now Jasprit Bumrah, as soon as he was brought back into the attack after lunch, South Africa lost 2 quick wickets. Tony DeZorzi was out, and so was Keegan Peterson. So South Africa at the moment are 134-3. But what does this mean for India, and where are they at in this test match? Abhishek, what do you think of this? Lots to discuss. We're going to talk about KL Rahul's 100, of course, and how special that is for him and for this Indian team. But right now, what do you think? What would the Indian bowlers, the Indian team be thinking? They've got 2 quick wickets. Now they need to build on this.
Yeah, I think this is probably the turning point in this game, that successive wickets from Jasprit Bumrah in consecutive overs. I think this is what India would have hoped for, coming back after lunch, and Bumrah has delivered again. But then they need to somehow get rid of Dean Elgar before he really takes this game away from India, because Dean Elgar has looked solid out in the middle. He has played. Yeah. He's played so comfortably. The Pacers, the Indian Pacers, has played them so well. I think the Indians need to get rid of him to and then probably after that there is a very weakened batting lineup that South Africa have. If they manage to get rid of Elgar early, then they might have a chance.
And also we don't know whether their captain he's going to be in he'd be batting, right? Temba Bavuma. But how to bowl in these conditions, and where do you think India went wrong in terms of bowling or utilizing the conditions? Because I felt like in the first 10 overs they were bowling well. The ball was darting around with Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj, and constantly you felt like the wicket is just around the corner, next delivery it might happen. But somehow, as we've seen Dean Elgar do in the past as well, he just stood tall in those difficult conditions. But did you think that pressure was then released by Prasidh Krishna and Shardul Thakur?
I think one thing to point out here is also the lack of bouncers from the Indian Pacers, right? When we saw Rabada bowl, he mixed his variations so well. The one ball coming on the full length, the next one being a shorter one, and then a good heavy bouncer. That is what I think Indians have lacked in this innings so far. I think barring Jasprit Bumrah, who has mixed it up a little well than Siraj and Prasidh Krishna. Prasidh Krishna has to be mentioned here, because his line and length has been totally off the mark today, and that has played a role in letting the South Africa batters off the hook, because they know the conditions pretty well. They are used to batting in such conditions, and once you let them off the hook, they can really come back and trouble you, and that's what Dean Elgar has done.
That's true. The other thing being, you put Kagiso Rabada somewhere up there, and then everybody else, including the South African bowlers, and the Indian bowling attack, and you realize how special he is and what he has done. Yes, the condition, you know, it's one thing to have conditions that support fast bowlers, but on top of that, you still need to be able to hit that mark, you know, which is not a length delivery. It's not too foolish as well, but somewhere in between. And he did that consistently.
Yeah, and especially when you talk about Rabada's quality, you know, since his debut in 2014, only Mitchell Starc has taken more wickets in international cricket than Kagiso Rabada. That tells you the whole story. And when you're playing in Centurion, where Rabada has 4-5 wicket hauls in Test cricket, you know, you have to be wary of him. But then you have to give credit to the way he bowled, you know, the way he, you know, the way he used his variations, you know, those short deliveries, you know, consistently maintaining that pace. You know, even if the conditions are helping you, you need to pitch the ball in the right areas to trouble the batters, and that's what he did precisely, you know, throughout his spell. Especially his second spell was quite devastating, because once he got rid of Shreyas Iyer, there was no stopping him, because he then got rid of Virat Kohli with a peach of a delivery, and then he just ran through the Indian batting lineup. And you need something of that caliber, something of that, you know, consistency. You need to have that discipline when you're you know, playing against South Africa in South Africa, and that has probably lagged from the Indian bowling department today.
Yeah, and you felt that there was one over, I don't know, it was the 61st, 62nd over today, where he was unplayable. Every delivery from Kagiso Rabada was just absolutely unplayable, and KL Rahul, to his credit, you know, just made sure that he didn't sort of go out searching for an edge. He just kept the bat really close to his body, but you felt like any time a wicket was coming, he managed to ward off, you know, Kagiso Rabada till the end, till he got his 100. But how special was KL Rahul? Let's also talk about him. Now, India could have been in big trouble if it weren't for KL Rahul. It was his 100th that took the visitors to a total of 245. This was KL Rahul's second 100 in as many trips to Super Sport Park, following on from the one he got 2 years ago. Now, whether this one goes on to prove match winning like his 123 in the Boxing Day Test of 2021, that remains to be seen. But for the sheer brilliance and the need of the hour, KL Rahul's 101 out of the total of 245 kept Team India in the match and allowed their bowlers some runs to work with. Rahul had walked out to bat on day one when India's score was 92 for 4, and he looked on as Virat Kohli, Ravichandran Ashwin and Shardul Thakur all departed to leave the team at 164 for 7. So then, batting with the tail, KL Rahul moved to 70 by stumps yesterday. Today, on the second morning, he continued to attack the South African bowlers, going from 95 to a century with a 6. His innings came off 137 deliveries and featured 14 fours and 4 sixes. He put up a masterclass really in how to bat on an uneven pitch, number one, when the ball is seaming around, but also there was this brilliant balance of defense and attack in his knock. He was being tested every delivery, like I said, by Kagiso Rabada, but he decided to target the other bowlers whenever he could, and it was exceptional in the way he was resilient, you know, and switched on, because there is every delivery out there can get your wicket, right?
Exactly.
The ball is seaming around, you don't know what to expect, you don't know whether it's going to zip in or you know, go out. To be able to then keep yourself switched on every delivery for that period of time, it was superb to watch.
Yeah, incredible composure from KL Rahul, and that character that he has shown, you know, and he has been unstoppable since his comeback. You know, he got injured during the IPL, you know, had a long layoff where he was out of action for 3-4 months. And then when he came in, he was just he has been just terrific, you know. Since the Asia Cup, he has been unstoppable. He had a very good World Cup, and now he's proving himself in the South Africa series as well. And what stood out for me was the way he managed to, you know, hold on India's innings with the tail enders, you know. Especially, you know, Mohammad Siraj scored just 5 runs. Jasprit Bumrah scored what? I think he scored 1 run, and Prasidh Krishna was on duck. So you know, the way he batted with these three guys, you know, and helped India cross the 200 run mark and then led them to 245, which is a fighting total in the first innings in this test match. I think he deserves credit for the way he has played.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of those shots were absolutely incredible. Now, this is what Vikram Rathore, India's batting coach, had to say about KL Rahul. After day one's play, he said he is certainly going to be a man of crisis for us, I think, and that's exactly what he turned out to be. Every time there are tough situations, and most of the times he is there. He's the guy who handles those situations really well. He was very clear with his game plans, what he wanted to do, defended the right balls, attacked the right balls, and you know, you've also got to give credit to him. Number one, not just because of how well he batted with the tail enders, yes, but the fact that he's coming out at a completely different position than he's used to.
Right.
I think he's only batted twice at this position. To then see him bat like that, because whatever you might say, there is always this, I don't know, it's not a block, but you always, it's about comfort, it's about knowing a position that you like to bat in, to be put out of your comfort zone. And he's done this now, you know, for a lot of times. You'd see that in ODIs as well. And today again, he's now keeping right after this.
I think he has batted across positions in all formats. He has batted at number 4 for India in limited overs as well. When we had that number 4 conundrum going on, you know, where Rahul batted at 4 before Shreyas Iyer came in and cemented his spot. Again, in Test cricket, imagine if KL Rahul was not there at number 5 with Rishabh Pant missing out, you would run out of options, because the next best option you have is KS Bharat, because Ishan Kishan is not available and he hasn't proved himself in Test cricket. So KL Rahul is actually India's crisis man for this South Africa series, and especially coming to South Africa, knowing that you have to keep wickets for the entire innings, and you are in a completely different role, you know. You are now the specialist wicket keeper of your team, so you have that extra responsibility on you. You have to guide the bowlers from behind the stumps as well, and you know, doing all that and batting exceptionally well. I think KL Rahul has been exceptional.
Yeah, no, absolutely. To think the last century he scored here was as an opener, and today at number 6. So it takes a lot out of a person, especially to be batting in those conditions with Kagiso Rabada bowling at you. You know, you're losing wickets at the other end, but to just carry on, which is what KL Rahul did. And you also realize how special he is, you know, when you see some of those shots and you see his technique. You see how comfortable he is. I also feel like there is this mentality that one has when you're batting in conditions like this, to have that mentality, to know when to hit the ball for a boundary, because you're not going to get too many chances to do that as well. It was
and I think mentally Rahul has been in a great space after that break, the injury break that he had, because before that, if you look at the way his career was going, you know, he was continuously being trolled on social media. His IPL was not that good. He had an average IPL, got injured right before the playoffs, so he couldn't lead his team in the playoffs, and Lucknow lost in the eliminator and they were out of the competition, and Rahul was trolled again for, you know, sending his team out of the IPL. But then the way he has come back after that injury, you know, first game he played was against Pakistan in the Asia Cup, where he scored 111. You know, there were question marks then as well, you know, why Shreyas Iyer hasn't been played ahead of him, why KL Rahul is being slotted back in directly, you know, after coming back after so long due to that injury. But then the way he has batted after that, you know, look at the way he batted in Australia series at home, then he continued that in the World Cup, then in the ODIs against South Africa, he looked well in control, and now he has done it in the Test series as well. So mentally he's been in a very good space, I think, you know, after that break, and that break has really been a blessing in disguise for him.
To think that 101 out of that 245 belongs to one man, I can't imagine what India would have done had he not been able to bat like that. But this is what Vikram Rathore also had to say about why Indian batters struggled at Centurion. He said it was always going to be challenging. And again, yesterday when India lost quick wickets, it was like a similar story that we always get to see when Indian team is touring South Africa, where, you know, the conditions are seaming and they're and Indian batters struggle. So he says it was always going to be challenging. The weather was an issue. The wicket was under cover for a day or more than that. It was always going to be challenging as a batting group. Rabada bowled an exceptional spell. We have to try and add as many runs as possible. But as we've seen historically, this wicket deteriorates. And clearly, now seems to be the time when South African batting, they are getting the best of this pitch at the moment. Of course, aided by Shardul Thakur and Prasidh Krishna and their wayward lines. But having said that, we are going to slip into a short break. When we come back, we'll carry on with this conversation. So do come back.
जानना है तो देखिए, समझना है तो सुनिए, सीखना है तो पूछिए और कमाना है तो खरीदिए। जानकारी, सलाह और निवेश सब एक ही सुपर ऐप पर। पैसे का सवाल है तो जवाब है मनी9। आजादी पैसे की, अभी डाउनलोड करें।
Welcome back. We've been talking about day 2 of the test match that is on at Centurion. Abhishek's been with me. We've been talking about KL Rahul's 100. A quick one, Abhishek, just before you go in, what now India will look to do. They've already got 3 wickets, but how important is it right now for India to hit back with a couple of more wickets before the end of day's play?
I think it's very important to take quick wickets here, and Jasprit Bumrah will have a good role to play here because he has been that bowler who has
Yeah, carry
he
on.
has been the bowler who has been so far he has been good with the line and lengths for India, but then
Yeah, carry on.
yeah. So I think he'll have a great role to play. Barring that, Prasidh Krishna and Shardul Thakur really need to step up. If they can get their line and lengths right, then India would have a good day here.
Okay, we're going to wrap this up. We'll move on to football now. Manchester United produced a stunning comeback to defeat Aston Villa in the Premier League on Tuesday night as they came from 2 goals down to win the match 3-2. The Red Devils appear to be whimpering to a 9th Premier League defeat of the campaign when John McGinn and Leander Dendoncker struck in the first half. But Alejandro Garnacho notched up a brace after the interval with Rasmus Højlund grabbing the winner 8 minutes before the end.
2 days after British billionaire Jim Ratcliffe struck a deal to take a minority stake at Manchester United, his right-hand man, Dave Brailsford, saw the best and worst of the team, who clawed back from 2 goals down in a 3-2 win over Aston Villa. Fans believe that the Ratcliffe deal should strengthen the club.
Any step in any direction right now beyond where we are at this point is got to be a positive step, because I don't want to make a rant and a rave. We're still coming, we're still here, we still love Man United, but something's got to change from the top down to the bottom, because 10 years on, 2023, 2013, last time we won anything meaningful. Where is this club currently going? The money it's been spending, I really need to see, as a fan, something in the right direction beyond the current structure under the Glazers. And I don't want to get on the Glazers out, but surely Sir Jim has got to be buying into this with some sort of meaningful input onto the club.
Ineos's director of sport, who has been named the director of United since the Ratcliffe deal was done, sat in the director's box for Tuesday's much-needed victory. Tuesday's encounter was truly a game of 2 halves, as fans at Old Trafford booed United off the pitch at half-time. A remarkable turnaround saw Alejandro Garnacho net a brace and Rasmus Højlund break a Premier League scoring drought of 1,027 minutes with the winner in the 82nd minute. The team was serenaded with delighted singing and a standing ovation at the final whistle. In a regulatory filing late Tuesday, Manchester United said it could coerce Ratcliffe under certain circumstances to divest his ownership in the British soccer club at least 18 months after the billionaire closes his accusation of a 25% stake in the company.
Absolutely not. No, I think it does need to be increased where there's a majority UK owned, preferably Lancashire, Manchester owned, if possible. Even if that's not possible, then certainly to be owned with someone who has more than just financial interest.
I guess so. I guess the beginning of the season has been a bit tough. Injuries considered, all the club drama, whatnot. I think after 2024, I mean, usually, new year, new me, like that whole New Year's resolution. I hope so. We're not in the best of spirits at the moment. I hope it is, I guess, new ownership. I think, it may have been a ploy, who knows, but just hoping the best, trying to stay as optimistic as possible and hoping for the best for the club.
Manchester United's filing also said that for 3 years after the Tycoon's deal closes, any potential sale of the club solicited by its American owners, the Glazer family, they will need to fetch at least $33 per share for Ratcliffe.
Yeah, we're looking forward. I think it's positive for the club that they're stepping in. They have a lot of experience in sport on the highest level, F1, cycling team, other football clubs. So it can only help and support us to get our targets. So yeah, we are looking forward. They want to work with us and we want to work with them.
Moving on to tennis, and Novak Djokovic has no plans to hang up his boots, or in this case racket, anytime soon, and is hoping he might be able to emulate American football great Tom Brady by extending his career well past his 40th birthday. World number 1 Djokovic was preparing for the start of his 22nd season as a professional by playing an exhibition match against Carlos Alcaraz in Riyadh on Wednesday, said he'd already learned plenty from Brady.
I'm excited for a new season. I think there's a lot of great players. The tennis world has a lot to offer, I think, to the tennis tournaments, and I'm excited to be in Saudi Arabia for the first time and play in front of a new crowd. I heard that there's a lots of interest for the match between Alcaraz and me, and I'm very excited about that. Yes, winning the Olympic gold for my country would be something really, really unique and special. I mean, I'm going to have a shot next season. I mean, this season now in Paris, and it's going to be played in Roland Garros, where we normally have Grand Slams. So I'm pretty familiar with the courts and conditions and stadiums. So hopefully I can go far. Let's see. It's still a long way, but Olympics and Grand Slams are the main goals. Yeah, I think it's more about, rather than retiring, it's more about maybe playing less and playing more in events, specific events, and tournaments that I really enjoy, that motivate me the most, that count the most. So I still don't feel like the complete end is very near, but anything can happen. Things can turn around very quickly, and for now I'm here. I always expect him to play at his best, to be honest. Many times they have signed him out. They've done that with me as well, but we've proved them wrong. And
okay, he was talking about Carlos Alcaraz. The 20-year-old beat Djokovic to win Wimbledon this year and believes that he'll try to get better in the upcoming season. What is he expecting from 2024? Listen in.
Well, I want to win one Grand Slam. I want to achieve a Grand Slam, and I'll try to achieve a medal, in the Olympics game as well. I think they are really good goals for me this year. Honestly, play my 100%, my best level. I think play my best level. I'm gonna give myself a chance, to beat him at the Australian Open or other tournaments. But I think I have to be ready mentally, physically, and in the tennis game to be able to beat him in the tournaments. Let's say complicated for us, but it's not 100% sure that he's not going to Australian Open. So it's a little chance that he can come to Australia, but we have to see, because we have just a week before leaving to Australia. But I have other coaches that are really good coaches, and able to do a good work for with me to be ready for Australian Open. He's ready. I saw some videos practicing. He's practicing at his 100%. I've heard from other players that they practiced with Rafa, in these past weeks, and they say that he's gonna return at his good level or his top level. So I think he's ready to do great things this year as well. I mean, it's a dream for me playing the Olympics Games. So I will work for it. I will work to be ready for the Olympics Games, and I'm really excited about it.
Four-time Grand Slam champion Naomi Osaka, who had not played competitive tennis since September 2023, makes a highly anticipated return in Brisbane. The Japanese star has given birth to her daughter Shea in July and has previously struggled with mental health. She said she was nervous but excited as she returned to Australia to warm up for the first Grand Slam of 2024, the Australian Open. The former world number one has 4 singles Grand Slam titles to her credit. Meanwhile, women's current world number one, Iga Świątek, she will also acclimatise in Perth with her Polish teammates at the United Cup. The French Open champion had briefly surrendered her top ranking to Aryna Sabalenka during 2023, but reclaimed it with a gutsy triumph at the WTA finals in Cancun. The 2023 Australian Open semi-finalist said she was certainly it was going to be a demanding season for her, and that it will teach her a lot as she goes into the new year. With that, it's a wrap for us on Game On. Hope you enjoyed this show. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.
Since the last 2 years, Khalistani terror groups are threatening Indian diplomats in Canada, US, UK and Australia. Investigations of these threats led us to the first ever abduction and killing of an Indian diplomat, Ravindra Matre, in UK's Birmingham in 1984. Our months-long investigation finally led us to the murderer of Ravindra Matre, who has been hiding in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir for the last 40 years. Watch our exclusive documentary, Murder of an Indian Diplomat, where we reveal the man who killed Ravindra Matre.
Stop searching, start streaming. Download the world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
Pakistani spy agency ISI's sinister plan to target India. Training women to honey trap top civil and military officials. Counter honey trapping ops initiated by India. But gullible victims still caught in the web. Top military intelligence experts break down the web of deception. Colonel Hani Bakshi explains the phenomena of honey trap.
जहाँ पे भी आपको लगेगा, उनको लगेगा कि there is a person who is susceptible to women, who's making a lot of women friends on the social media. That is where they will make a spoof account and then start luring the person.
Colonel Pavitran Rajan decodes the psyche of the victim and the predator.
But when you go up the chain, no one enforces it to people at the top. That disciplinary regime and the security regime is not enforced at the top. And they usually have a public profile where it is much more easier to approach that person.
A News 9 special on how modern technology has added teeth to the ancient spying tactic.
Our story takes you inside Pakistan's honey trap machine.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
कि हर व्यापक सर बत्र समाना, हर व्यापक सर